How's it going, guys? Sling HT here today, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the Samsung EVO 850 500 gig SSD, which I installed about a month ago into my computer. I got it on Black Friday, got a pretty good deal. Before that, I had the Western Digital Blue 1 terabyte, which was fine. It was a ton of storage for a low price, but with Black Friday and me wanting to have a little more speed and upgrade the computer, I went ahead and got the SSD. And so with that, I got the Samsung EVO 500 gig, which is right here. So right now I'm running my OS on the SSD, and then I kept the Western Digital Blue for storage. So things that aren't like my games and my OS are pretty much what goes on my SSD. Pictures, music, things like that, I put on my hard drive. So back to the Samsung EVO. A few really cool things about the Samsung EVO are the software it comes with. For instance, with Samsung Magician, there's a ton of different things you can do with your SSD. And it also comes with a data migration tool, which made it very easy for me to move my operating system from my original hard drive to the SSD almost virtually with no problems. And it took probably, I'd say, 15 to 20 minutes. That was with about 300 gigs of data, I'd say. So I didn't have to do a fresh install, which many people do recommend you do anyway on the SSD. Instead, it basically makes a clone, transfers it over, and allows you to reinstall what you want to reinstall, and vice versa, move stuff to your old hard drive, and back and forth. It lets you kind of choose. So before the SSD, my boot time, I'd say from minus my BIOS password and my Windows password, from completely off pressing the power button, I'd say it would take somewhere around 15 to 25 seconds before I was able to open up Steam and load a game. With my SSD, from completely off, I press the power button, I'm in Windows in around 10 seconds, able to do anything on my computer. And in that 10 seconds, I've got Steam loaded, NVIDIA GeForce, Origin, my antivirus. So it increased the speed of just the boot. I don't know percentage wise, but it's an insane increase in speed at that aspect. Now, for gaming, there was also an increase as far as load times, like Just Cause 3, for example. Before my SSD, it would take 20 to 30 seconds for the game to start up. From if I were to go here and click play, it took a good 20 to 30 seconds before I was actually playing. With SSD, it's about 10 to 15. Same with other games like Fallout. The load times are almost cut in half. Counter-Strike, same thing. Load times as far as loading screens when you're loading into maps or when you're just starting the game. All that is increased big time. So with the Samsung EVO, as you can see here in disk management, this green area is over provisioning, which I'm just recently learning about. From what I've read, it's almost like a workbench for the SSD. So it allows the SSD to utilize this free space during peak traffic. So it's almost like reserved space for it to use when things get crazy. So I've got 43 gigs dedicated to that, a healthy recovery partition, 450 megabytes, and then another active primary system, active healthy primary partition, and then my boot and everything right here. And then as you can see here, I have my Western Digital set up as storage. So more than enough space with my storage. I don't see myself ever really filling that up. And with my SSD, I still have 220 gigs of free space. So a couple things I had to do when installing it, which you might want to look up, is setting in your BIOS, setting it to AHCI mode. Make sure you connect to the fastest SATA interface. But back to the Samsung EVO, you've got performance benchmarking you can do to make sure everything's up to par where it should be. Performance optimization, which is like if, say, your OS doesn't offer trim, you use this to optimize performance as needed. It checks for your latest firmware. OS optimization, so you can optimize it to maximum performance, maximum capacity, reliability, or advanced where you customize it yourself. I've got it set to maximum performance. And you can look through what each of these do. Over in provisioning is what I just showed you over here. Secure race, pretty much like encryption, which actually this is encryption. So with the Samsung A50 EVO, you get encrypted drive, TCG Opal, and Class 0, which I am not, to be honest, exactly sure what all that is. Rapid mode, which right now I'm trying to find a fix. It has an error in obtaining the Windows 10 perimeter to run in rapid mode, which I'm still researching. Once I figure that out, I'll get a video out on that. So yeah, other than that, it was well worth the. I think I paid 150, and as far as performance wise, it was well worth the money. To pay 150 bucks and get that much of a performance upgrade on my computer, it was well worth it. And with Samsung software, the data migration tool, it made it very easy and very fast. All I did, open up my computer, plugged in the SSD, plugged into the SATA 6 gig port, turned it back on, put in the disk for the data migration, Samsung data migration tool, cloned the OS, basically moved it over SSD, and from there I just started installing and I was good to go. So yeah, that's about it. If you're not sure yet whether you want to go SSD or not, do some more research. The prices should be dropping relatively soon as far as how much storage you can get. It still is kind of pricey, but in my opinion, it is worth it. There's no moving parts in an SSD, so they're more reliable. They're certainly a lot faster, and they will last longer. But there's a ton of research you should do if you want to learn more about the differences. Like this PC Mag article here is actually pretty cool to show you a little bit about the history of it, advantages to disadvantages, and whatnot. But that'll be for another video. For this video, I just wanted to go over the Samsung EVO. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know. And thanks again for watching.